You may have heard this common phrase that it doesn't matter what you're painting, it's how you paint it. And everything, after all, is just a shape of a different color and value with a specific edge. While I agree with that philosophy, I do think that it is important to focus on different subject matters for different reasons. In this video, we're going to chat about the three main subject matters we artists are painting, which are portraiture, landscape, and still life, and why it is important in order to be a very well-rounded artist to focus on all three rather than going a mile deep on just one. The first subject matter is portraiture. Portraiture is the challenge because you can't get something wrong and still capture a likeness. If you get the nose a little bit too long or a little bit too short or a little bit too wide, it's not going to look like the individual that you're painting. So portraiture is really helpful for helping to hone in your drawing skills, your sense of proportion, and training your eye to see those things to a very delicate level, which will serve your painting so well, because there's nothing worse or anything that can undermine the mastery of a painting quite so much as the proportion being wrong and it not looking like it could exist in real space. Portraiture is also really helpful for working in stressful environments because you are working with live models often and you learn how to interact with models, how to work from life with things that are moving, how not to care what others think about your painting. So it's a multifaceted benefit working with portraits. One thing that portraiture does not lend itself well to is broader compositional knowledge, and that's where landscape comes in. With a portrait, you have one simple pose or composition if it's just head and shoulders. The features themselves create the composition, but you're not balancing the entire painting in the same way that you are with landscape. With landscape painting, plein air or back home in the studio with a study and a photo, you're able to really dive into composition because you can move a tree, you can change the bend of the stream, you can edit the shape of the clouds, and most frequently you will need to do some of those things in order to create the best composition possible to get your message across about the landscape. Very rarely can we go out and just word for word, so to speak, copy the landscape and get a really powerful painting. We need to create little edits. That's where landscape really shines. Also with color. In landscape, you're going to have colors that you don't have with portraiture and vice versa, but there's going to be a vast variety of color evident in landscape, no matter what season you're painting, no matter where in the world you're painting, but those greens, those blues, the autumn reds are really going to lend themselves to you becoming a very well-rounded colorist as well. It's with landscape that you will really be able to develop this feeling of atmosphere and become a master over your color and figuring out how you make things appear to be receding and coming towards you and the like. The third subject matter most frequently painted is still life. And still life offers something that landscape and portraiture don't, of course. I mentioned color being important for landscape. Still life differs in this particular way. You are not subject to what is in front of you. You can completely create what you want to see in front of you, what you want to see on your canvas. When we're doing portraiture or landscape, we're very much subject to our model and the coloring of the scene. So for landscape, in a summer scene, it will be a lot of green, and you're going to be able to make color adjustments there, but you're very much subject to that color overall that's happening. With still life, you can choose to a much greater degree what you want the painting to look like. You can set up the color story and in this way start to really lean into color theory And shape organization, you can particularly choose that you want a large blue pot and a very small orange pot. So you're playing with a complementary color harmony, orange and blue, and you have a size differential, a large blue pot and a very small dainty orange pot. And that's what the still life painting is about. You can almost dive into concepts the most with still life than any of the other subject matters. You can create a feeling of unease by having a pot about to come off of the edge of a table or mid-falling. You can have an egg about to be cracked. You can freeze time in a way with still life and create a moment that is different with landscape and still life. It also allows you to dive even deeper into this idea of composition because you are so in control of what every piece and part is doing, and it really allows you to start to play. It also helps with brushwork. This is where I think still life is so helpful, allowing you to really explore your brushwork in a way because you are working with inanimate objects, usually, and you can destroy the form in ways, since they are inanimate, that you maybe would feel more nervous to do with a landscape or a portrait. So you can really dive into creativity with still life in particular. I received the advice to be a very well-rounded painter and to paint every single subject matter at the very beginning of my career from a mentor of mine. I didn't understand what valuable advice that was until many years later, when I had followed that advice and realized that no matter what setting I am in, I have a certain level of comfortability. So if I have a loved one who is in town visiting and I want to capture their portrait, I don't see them very much, I am able to sit down with them for a couple hours and paint their portrait. Or if I'm traveling and there's an amazing sunset effect that I just have to capture, I have a certain level of comfortability because of the plein air painting and the landscape painting I've done to capture that and make a beautiful piece. And same with still life. If I have a story that I really want to tell with certain items, I have a certain level of comfortability to do that. I'm an artist in the world, and I want to have a wide variety of tools at my disposal in my toolbox as an artist, so that no matter what comes across my path, I can paint it and understand it and digest it and give back to the world a beautiful rendition of what I'm experiencing. What's your favorite thing to paint at this moment? I have another question for you. What is the thing you are most afraid of painting at this moment? I bet you have two very clear things in your mind right now. For a lot of people, the thing they are most afraid to begin to paint is portraits, because it's nerve-wracking, as I mentioned earlier. You're worried about what they're going to think. You're not really that confident in your drawing skills, so it really might not end up looking like them. And there's lots of other reasons why portraiture could be scary. But I am here to tell you in this whole video that it's such an important skill to foster, and it's not rocket science. It just takes practice. I've started an online life painting group which meets twice monthly. We are hosting live painting sessions. So we have a model sitting over here and for 3 hours that you can paint or draw from a 4K resolution live stream twice a month. This is actually the painting I did during our last live stream. You can see my palette and you can see my painting the entire time. So every brushstroke I'm making, I'm chatting about my process the whole time, and a global community of artists from all over the world are painting live together. I hope you'll come and join us and step into that potentially scary subject matter.